What up, everybody?
Hello, hello, hello.
Look here, y'all. It's another Tuesday. We made it yet again for another Tuesday.
Yes, yes.
And the Tuesdays are seeming like they coming faster one time and then slower the next time.
That is hilarious. That's so true. So true. So
So we are here yet again on a Tuesday. I am Keya McLean, the poet, and that is the beautiful
Shimeka, the dart therapist. Thanks.
A. A. And we are excited to be here with you all tonight, as always.
Yay.
So, tonight's topic, are you guys ready to find out what tonight's
Are,
topic is about?
are you ready?
Are you ready?
Somebody said, hey, beautiful people.
Hey, who said, hey, beautiful people? Who that?
Facebook
Who
user.
that?
If say Facebook user.
Okay.
Floyd.
So,
Floyd.
hi, Floyd.
Hello, Floyd.
Okay, guys. So, tonight's topic is healed traits and version of you versus the unhealed version.
Oh, no.
Eek.
Oh, no.
So I want to preface this conversation this evening with no matter where you fall in either category, we've all been there or we're all going there. So please don't think that you are broken or something's wrong with you or even that you can say somebody else is broken. Okay? Let's be really careful about that. Let's make sure we're not passing judgment on people and pointing the
So,
finger.
on people and including yourself.
Yeah.
What hyping? What hyping? Something happened.
I can't hear
Something
you.
happened. I can't.
Okay, you back. You back.
Okay, you back too, but you slow now.
I'm slow.
Yep,
I
I hear
am
you. And
slow.
yep,
You can hear me?
I can hear you though. You just your lips will be moving like the karate movies.
It's Bruce Lee. Eee.
Okay, now you're back. Now you're back. Now
Okay,
you're back.
I'm back. I'm telling. There's something going on with the internet in here.
He said my
I don't.
brain. Marcus said my brain is slow.
And see, I can't even see the chat.
Oh,
I don't see anything. I don't know what that's about, but
Marcus said
whatever.
my slow.
I guess you'll have to read the chat because I don't have anything up here.
Okay,
Um,
I'll read it.
so we want to talk about, what the healed version versus the unhealed version looks like, and then we
Did you
go
turn the
ahead.
thing upside? You turn the thing upside down. The timer.
It's way over there, and I can't get over there.
And you sit right there. So okay, I'm just playing. Keep going.
That does help me. I do need it, babe. Can you get over there and get the?
The timer, the sand,
Here you go.
the hourglass.
Go ahead. They can see you. They know you're here. It ain't a secret we live together no more.
it's
It ain't no secret you kidnapped me.
it's no secret we're in love.
Thank you, baby.
Little child.
You're the best. You're the best. Okay, y'all. So here we are.
There
The
we are.
magic. The
The
magic. That's fine, babe.
and
Thank
these
you.
are the time. The days of
All right, y'all. So the healed version versus the unhealed version. And I'm just going to give some examples of what that looks like. Now, let me say this because I want you guys to be aware of this and mindful of this that
Yeah.
I'm on slow motion tonight,
Slow
okay?
for
But
you.
but
Slow
like I'm still like gonna give it to y'all, but y'all know we can't be dancing and well, I can't be dancing and stuff. So cousin is gonna do all the dancing tonight, right?
motion for you.
And I'll do a little bit of talking because I can't dance. Somebody was driving all crazy and stuff last week and had the nerve to hit me.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I was in a little bitty pain. No, I'm in some pain, y'all.
Yes. Somebody
But
said,
I'm here.
oh, yes, you
But
are.
I'm here. It
Yes.
all worked
Oh,
out,
yes, I'm glad you
right?
are.
So I take a little bit of pain to be here any day. What about that?
Yes. Somebody said, what? Y'all live together? LOL. Nah.
Yeah, he's like, I can't walk past the camera. They know you here. They know.
It's okay. Go
They,
ahead.
they know you in the building, baby.
You here. You is here. No pain. No pain. No gain. Somebody said that on Facebook. Like,
What? No, I don't want no pain, no gain. No, 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 no.
no, 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 no.
No, 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 no. I don't want no pain, no
Right.
gain.
We don't, yes, we don't
We
want
ain't going with that one.
pain.
I ain't riding. I ain't whoever said that. I ain't riding out with you on that one. Okay, get somebody else to do that one.
Right. That's right. For real. Yes.
Okay. But anyway, let's get started
I was,
on Don. I know Don. That ain't no pain, no gain. No
we don't,
pain, no gain
no,
is me going to the gym, working out, and gaining muscle. That's the no pain, no gain
right.
I want to talk about. Not nobody ramming into the back of me. No, no, sir.
I'd rather not. Rather
Okay,
not.
let's get started. Let's get
Okay.
started. Let's get
Focus,
started.
focus, focus. Okay.
Okay, so we got the hourglass running. Okay, and Shamika's gonna give y'all the highest level of energy tonight because I ain't got it. But I got some words for y'all. I got some words of encouragement and love. Okay, so let's talk about some common traits of a unhealed versus a healed. And again, this is not to for you to beat yourself up or beat nobody else up about.
Don't do
This
that.
is not for you to be critical of yourself or anybody else, right? Y'all leave me alone.
Okay, you see it now?
uh okay, so the versions are, a person that's closed minded, a person that doesn't want to understand another person's perspectives or another person's experience or another person's thoughts. A healed version of that person will be more open minded. And so you see, Marcus has put up a great thing for us to read through. I'll let you read through that, Shamika, because I can't see it.
An unhealed person has not resolved their emotional wounds or traumas and is still hurting or suffering. A healed person has overcome emotional wounds or traumas and is at peace with themselves and others. Did you like my reading?
So
Was that nice? Was that okay?
that was perfect. That was just glorious, darling.
Fun,
Glorious.
fun.
so I so basically, when you close yourself off, when you can't open up to other people's perspectives, it's a way to learn. And when you aren't healed, you want to find ways a lot of times to dispute what other people say or to be argumentative or to prove that you're right, because sometimes people who deal with certain traumas don't want to admit that they don't know everything, or
Mhm.
they don't want to admit that somebody else may know more than they do. And
Right,
so they'll just go back and forth with you about the stupidest things sometimes, right? And you can kind of tell, okay, that's just they're dealing with some stuff that has nothing to do with me. It's
right.
one of the reasons why recently Marcus and I had this conversation. And because we frequent cigar lounges a lot, we end up having all these various conversations, right? And sometimes people will, we're always sitting there having different conversations, right? And so one of the things that I've done is I've learned that everything doesn't need a rebuttal, right? Everything doesn't need to be said. And
Mm-hmm.
so there are people, and I watch them, I observe, they love to just argue with people back and forth. Argue.
Yes.
Notice I said the word argue. I didn't say have conversation.
Right.
So when I pick up on that about people, I simply get quiet. Because one thing you have to understand is you can't argue with people like that
Mm-hmm.
because there is no winner. And it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't even be a winner anyway. It's just conversation. It's for understanding purposes. It may be for learning purposes. It
Right.
may just be for entertainment.
Right.
And I've seen people turn the slightest arguments into fights and drama and all that kind of stuff. And so you have to know the audience of the people that you're dealing with, because if you don't and you're not careful, you'll find yourself pulled into some mess that you
Foolish.
don't even need to be pulled
Foolish.
into.
Foolish.
Foolishness.
Foolishness.
Foolishness, child. Foolishness.
Foolishness. Deb,
That you don't even need to be a part of.
at all.
Let people say or think or believe whatever they want to believe. Somebody said something about my baby daddy, Tupac, in there, and I was just like, you know what? You know what? You don't know no better. In my head, I said it in my head. You don't know no better. How do you dispute Tupac? But I'm a little bit more healed because the old version of me would have got up and put my scarf on.
Ah,
But I just sat there. I was like this. Talk about my baby daddy.
no, they didn't. No,
How dare you? How dare you? You must be unhealed. So that goes to my next point, which was the unhealed person is the argumentative person. The healed version is results driven,
right.
right? Let's look for some results. Let's try to resolve these things. Let's have a conversation. Let's not scream and yell and get disrespectful towards one another,
Right.
right? So, what do you have to add to those two, or do you have anything to add to those two?
I do. So I know that there are times I have to catch myself, right? So an unhealed person would just continue with the conversation, right? With just
Mm-hmm.
arguing and yelling back and forth. And so if you are working on progress towards healing, you will in the middle of it might stop and say, why am I doing this? Okay,
Yeah.
are they really listening to me, or they just want to argue? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you've ever been in an argument and you go from one, so it starts off as um you didn't listen to me today. And then you end up with, yeah, but you left the toilet seat up, right? Because
Oh yeah.
so we didn't result, like we didn't went from here to, okay. And so then in the midst of that, sometimes you start off with like, I can't behind you yelling, and then you're like, wait, are we resolving this? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you might not get it in the very beginning. It might start off escalated, but you know, self reflection during the process of a discussion is identifying if are we both working towards an outcome, working towards a resolve.
Yeah. I think that's important too. And I can definitely attest to the fact that I've had moments like that
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, girl, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's about the awareness,
Mm-hmm.
having the awareness to come back and say, hold on, like you just said,
Mm-hmm.
is this is this really results driven?
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately that's all I care about. I want to get to a positive result.
Right,
There
right.
are going to be times where we're going to walk away and still disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, right? As long as we're being respectful and courteous to one another and considerate to one another, that's all that matters. And that's in a relationship of any sort,
Right.
whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship. I think ultimately that's the important thing, is ensuring that respect is there,
Yes.
ensuring that you're being courteous
Right.
and, you know, not taking it to a level that it doesn't really need to go to.
Right.
And Again, this doesn't mean that you're broken and something's wrong with you if you are in that position. It is a time and an opportunity, though, for you to take note of some of that behavior. If you're
Right.
noticing that you are the person that is screaming a lot, or you're the person that's getting more upset than the other person, if you start to notice that you're the aggressor, not only that you notice it, but that sometimes people may even say that to you. That's something that happened for me, is that I don't think I was aware enough to notice that it was me a lot of the times until people started calling me out.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it became clear to me, like, well, Kia, you, they were using the always. And of course, it wasn't always, right? So then, but that caused me to ask questions like, oh, you keep saying I do this always or all the time. So I know I'm not doing it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm interested. Like now you have me interested. How often am I doing this?
Right.
Right? You'll hear me say it on probably every episode that we do. This is the importance of journaling. How can I be aware of what I'm doing if I'm not taking stock of my behavior? And how do I take stock of my behavior? I
Mm-hmm.
journal daily.
Right.
And if the same things keep showing up, I
Mm-hmm.
need to take time to look at that and say, this is something that keeps repeating itself.
Right.
Maybe I'm the person that needs to work on X, Y, and Z, and maybe my partner or my friend, they probably need to work on that, but that's not my concern. My concern is working on me,
Right.
because I can't change anybody else,
Yep.
but I at least have the information to say, okay, well, I'm aware enough to know that I'm the aggressor,
Right.
right? Or I'm the person that's doing this, and how can I start to make changes to do something different? Because a lot of us have been doing a lot of things for a lot of years.
Right.
And so to go from the unhealed version to the healed version is a process.
Right.
That's why Shamika said earlier, you can have moments where in the midst of it, you can be in the midst of doing the things that you did earlier on,
Right. Right.
behaving not so great.
Right.
And in the midst of it, you recognize, uh-oh, hold on, I'm going too far here.
Right.
And I think like that is an opportunity for us to grow and an opportunity for us to nurture ourselves.
Right.
Like, don't ever forget how important it is to nurture yourself. Give
Yes.
yourself grace and love, because look, we're not perfect. We be out here. And the thing for me is how people be out here judging. Like, so quick to judge other people
Right.
and don't even be knowing all the facts.
Right. Right.
Like, that's the part for me. Like, at least, okay, if you're going to judge people that you really know and you know all the circumstances, I don't think you need to do it either way, but
Either
that's
way.
one thing. But
Right.
people be out here judging stuff that they don't even know
It'd
about.
be weird. It'd be
It's
so.
so weird.
But
You
some
so,
people the opportunity to speak on somebody else's life that they know
or
nothing.
situations.
Yeah, that they know nothing about. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like, yeah, like,
Like, what you got going on that you got enough energy and time to judge somebody else?
right,
Okay. Okay.
right. I was gonna say too, to piggyback on what you said too, a healed person also is able to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Is able to take
Absolutely.
responsibility, is able to identify, okay, what do I need to work on in this space?
Yeah.
What do I need to, and I just want to like just emphasize that healed does not mean you are walking around here like I don't care, I'm okay, and I'm loving, and no, sometimes you go cut somebody out.
Tell them.
Sometimes you might, have some mean thoughts about somebody. You go ahead. And sometimes you might go off on somebody. And so the healed version is that you'll come back and say, you know what, that wasn't okay.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't okay. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work more on,
Absolutely.
you know. So it's not, the expectation is not that, oh, you're better than anybody else, or you're not going to make any mistakes. Or and then here again too, what if we take away the fact that it's a mistake, and what if you're learning, and
Mm-hmm.
when you're growing and you're learning, there's there might not be like right or wrong choices, right? It's a choice, and so
Right.
you can choose to work towards healing, or you can choose to not.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on to your whatever that is as strong as you can. Yeah.
And we come across that, right? You're going to come across that. I was once in that space where I was that stubborn, where it was like, this is who I am. And I was the person that was like, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, oh well, that's how I am. I don't care about any of that, right? And
Right.
so, but that was to my own detriment.
Right.
Other people were like, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. Just know I'm going to do what I want to do too. And
Right.
that's walk away from you, because I don't want to deal with your toxicity.
Right.
And I think what people tend to also do in that space, and I didn't have this on my list, but I do want to point that out, is they can sometimes get angry about you doing the work to heal, because that means that they don't know the version of this person that's healing. They know the unhealed version, and that's who they want to stay connected to. And
Right.
so when you decide, I'm going to disconnect and move into another space,
Right.
um, they take that on as a personal thing. That's an unhealed attribute,
Right.
or character trait. Because when you decide to get angry about someone that decides to grow, that decides to heal, that decides to do what's best for them, and you take it personal,
Right.
there's some things that you are going to really have to dig deep in to work on within yourself,
Right.
because other people's decision to do what's necessary in their lives have nothing to do
With you.
with you.
Hmm.
Hey, cousin
Who is that?
Bree.
Hey, Bray. Yeah. That's definitely yeah. And again, I think we just sometimes get focused on everybody else's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and even we talked about this. I think was this the the last session. Um, sometimes sometimes mm, sometimes there's something in somebody else that you don't like that might be a trait of your own, you know.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, but again, identifying that and self-reflecting, and like you always say, journaling helps with
Mm-hmm.
self-reflection, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have that. And I think it's so easy to point the finger at other people, and talk about how other people are doing things.
Right.
Um, that's the cop out way, because
Right.
then you don't have to do the work on yourself, and you don't have to put the energy toward yourself. You can just keep talking about people, right? I'm just going to blame them. I'm going to be the victim. I'm going to blame them. I'm going to be the
Mm.
victim. And when you stay in that energy, you're not working on your healing. That
Right.
doesn't allow you to grow. That doesn't allow you to experience things in a more positive, beautiful, peaceful way.
Right.
And so, for me personally, and I'm only speaking for myself, because as a person, and I've shared this with you all before, as a person that really had quite a bit of issues that I needed to work through, I can definitely tell you it feels different being where I am now versus where I was. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Did I have some bumps along the way? And do I continue to have bumps along the way? Absolutely. It doesn't look like what it looked like, though,
Mm-hmm.
because I have really committed to this work. It is a daily effort. This is not something that I play about. I don't say, oh, this problem came up. Let me work on some things,
Right.
which is every now and then. No, this is a daily
Daily.
effort. Even using the words healed
Right.
versus unhealed. This is this is not somewhere I'm just going to land and be forever. like Shamika said earlier, when we use these terms, it doesn't mean we're perfect. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean we have it all together. It means we have the awareness, we have the tools and the resources to do what's necessary to allow us to be in a more positive state of
Right.
mind,
Right.
to do the things that are more helpful
Right.
to ourselves and to those
Right.
people around us.
Right. And I want to add too. Look, I kind of in my head, I was like, and if you see me cussing somebody out, don't pull me to the side right then and there and tell me let pull me to the side later because I might be cussing somebody else out, right? So
Exactly.
my point is like, just because I get upset does not mean I'm healed. I'm not working through healing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so I don't so that was about to say, so I don't hear nobody say like, I thought you was healed. Like, what is that? What is that?
Yes.
I'm working towards healing. And so that means that you might catch me on a good one, right? You might catch me on a good one, and I might be ready to not be working in that unhealed,
In
okay,
that moment.
right?
Absolutely.
And I might have to come back and apologize. But
Mm-hmm.
give me that space. Give me that space.
Exact. Oh my goodness. So
Give me that space, because I'm gonna be because I'm going to give myself grace, right?
that is so good. I want to sit there on that one before I move to the next one because that's huge. I'm so glad you touched on that because you touched on two pieces, and that is I'm going to have times where in your mind, when you look at me, that doesn't look like a healed person. But what we have to start to understand is that there is no such thing as final, I'm healed. I figured it all out. There is no such thing. Okay?
At all.
So let's understand that.
I'm
The
still human,
other,
and
I am
I'm
still human. We are still human. And we're going to still have emotions
moments
and
of
things are going to happen, right?
right.
I think it's important that you just noted that. Also, the piece that comes with that is the accountability piece, is what you said. And that is, oops, I made a mistake. Let
Hmm.
me come and let me apologize to you. And it made me think about a couple of scenarios that I found myself in where I did something and I was like, man, and initially, this was early on in my journey. I beat myself up and beat myself up and beat myself up over and over again about it, right? And I went and I apologized to the person. They were like, it's all good. I get it. But I didn't forgive myself. I just kept going on and on about it to myself, with myself. And they were good. Like
Hmm.
it was all good.
Hmm.
Well, then I have another scenario where somebody had did something, I called them out on it, and because they didn't come and apologize, they didn't acknowledge their wrong. I go and I call them out, and then they lie and don't take accountability. And I'm like, that's okay, because you got to work through that. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? That's for you to have to work through.
Hmm.
I'm going to forgive you. I was prepared to forgive you. That's why I came to you to
Right.
have the conversation because I get it. I understand. We make
Right.
mistakes. But I can't overlook that you don't have the self-awareness
Hmm.
to at least be accountable for your actions.
Right. Right.
Because then that becomes an integrity issue. So we're not even, now we passed the healed versus unhealed. Now we talking about your character and your integrity. And
Right.
once that's in question, that's just, I don't even want to be connected to that.
Right.
And
Right.
but I think holding yourself accountable, going to apologize, even if they decide to accept your apology or not.
Right.
Before I did that, I've already forgiven myself.
Hmm.
I've already given myself grace for it.
Right. Right.
See, now I'm a pro at that. When I first started on this journey, that was probably one of the toughest things for me to do
Hmm.
was to forgive myself because I actually felt like I had been that way for so long
Hmm.
that I was supposed to automatically just get it together and change for the better right away and
Hmm.
then everything was going
And
to be
people make you
perfect.
do that though, but people make you think that too.
Yeah.
You know, because you have, when since you mentioned it, I remember when you were doing poetry group, and you was like, cousin, you called me. You felt so bad about like going off on them. It was something, and I was like,
Yep.
and you should have. I was
Yep.
like, she's like, but I'm, and because there was like, it's this thing of like, but I'm supposed to be healed. I'm supposed to be this. Who said that? Who,
Yeah.
right? I was like, if you
I,
don't,
I just ripped myself up about that.
you
I
did.
ripped
Like
myself
it was, and
apart.
the wrong, and they was in the wrong now. Now they was in the wrong, but I remember I was like, they was in the wrong. But Kia worked it out, and she was able to, because it was about, and it had nothing to do with them, right? It was like about you forgiving you, and
Exactly.
even, and then like just, and removing that and learning how to remove that expectation of this is how healing looks like, right?
Exactly. No, and that's true. I'm glad that you brought that up because that was one of those situations where I didn't even care if they were wrong or not. I was more upset with myself for allowing that to get me there.
Yeah.
They were 100% wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But however, that I was like, that didn't mean I needed to respond in
You
the
was,
same way.
you went off.
And I went off. But I feel like
But you went back and was like, okay, this is how I should have responded. That's
yes.
healed. That's what healed looks
Yeah.
like, right? That doesn't mean that you're going to immediately always respond in the appropriate manner, that whatever that is, right?
Mhm.
That's healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. And we've talked about this before, having people that you can talk to, that you can trust, that like I didn't really need I didn't need my cousin to give me the validation on, oh, you were right or you were wrong.
Yeah.
I just needed her to hear, like I just needed to be able to vent about my feelings and also about how I felt that I was wrong. Right.
Yeah.
And I think I probably spent more time on that than anything.
I know.
I felt horrible.
And I was like, because I was like, one of my cousins be like, fuck them. Fuck them people.
Right. And that's what you'll do sometimes. You just go straight into protective mode, right?
I'd be
Like they
like,
did what to you?
fuck them. Right?
They said what to you? They did what? And I'm
I
like,
can
well,
believe they say right.
and then I'd be like, but I said this, cousin.
I back as you said. Sometimes we not there.
I at least be admitting my fault. I don't be trying to just blame people and become the victim in no situation. But look, I know if I
I
tell her, she gonna be like, I mean, so what she mean by that? I mean, what they mean by that? I mean, are they coming for you? Well, you had every right to act like that, cousin. But yeah, you probably shouldn't do that next time.
because I'm hyped up in the beginning. I'm like, okay, back down.
But it's still in love, but she's still gonna counsel me wisely. It's not gonna be like, no, Kia, go back and slap everybody. So and that's another part about having people
Right.
that you can go and confide in and share those conversations with. And because for me, I'm a venter. Now, I'm the type of venter that once I vent it, I'm just like, okay, we can move on. I'm done with it. Like, I don't care anymore. I just
Mm-hmm.
need to have somebody to hold space for me to be able to
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
And then we can move on. The unhealed version of me, when I was like that, I would go on. I would literally go through my phone log and call everybody to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I would do. And a lot of times that would be more so about I wanted to see how many people were going to be on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very aware of the fact that that's what I was doing.
Right.
So
And who's gonna do it? You knew who's gonna do it too.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So again, I think it's the awareness.
Yeah.
It comes back to the awareness.
Right.
If you have the awareness to understand and recognize that some of my behavior is not healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to focus on that for me rather than point the finger or rather than be concerned what other people are doing. I
Right.
need to focus all of that energy towards myself. Another unhealed trait that I have here is, so we talked about this already, quick to anger, is the unhealed, slow to understand, can be more of the healed version. When you take your time to understand the other person's position or
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Um, unhealed version, constant confusion. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, constant confusion. Always needing um, answers because you don't know how to sit with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know how to, resolve things for yourself. So you're constantly creating chaos and confusion for other people and
Mm-hmm.
yourself, mostly yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? The unhealed version of you is going to have some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because you're taking time to sit with yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
meditating, you're praying, you're connecting with your source.
Right.
You protect your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of things are what a person that is healing is going to focus on. The
Mm-hmm.
person that's not healing is they're just going to find all of the confusion that they can find and roll all the marbles on the floor so
Mm-hmm.
that it's a dance around them.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's the just for a distraction, because
Mhm.
like you said, because you don't want to sit with yourself.
Exactly.
And I've said this
And
before.
and
Looking in that mirror is not easy. Looking in that mirror and acknowledging and admitting that I wasn't always right in this situation. I wasn't always okay or justified in that. Yeah, I shouldn't have did it.
yeah.
So it does take, so sometimes we distract ourselves with just other things when you can't sit with yourself.
Mhm. And that just delays your progress. That's all. It doesn't you're not horrible. You're still not horrible. It
Right.
just delays your progress a little bit. And I tell people often um that I work with and that I come across just in life is sometimes all you have to do is just start the work.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, you'll be catapulted to the
Mm-hmm.
exact place you're supposed to be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you might have waited 50 years to start doing your healing work,
Mm-hmm.
but you could very well, for some people it can take them 20, 30 years to land in a space where they feel where their emotions are regulated, where they have emotional intelligence, where they're not in fight or flight mode all the time.
Right. Right.
They it may take them 30 years, but it could potentially take you 2 years if you commit to that work. So that's what I mean by you can be catapulted into that space.
Mm-hmm.
So don't feel like, well, I'm 50, it's too late for me to grow, it's too late for me to change, it's too late. No,
Never too late.
you I would hope that you don't want to leave this earth with that unhealed energy
Mm-hmm.
and then staying committed to it. We're
Mm.
going to probably have some unhealed parts of us if we don't do the work,
Right.
but you don't want to be completely unhealed and
Right.
be struggling with all of this because it's negative, it's drama, it's toxicity, and you just don't you won't have a lot of fulfillment in life. And if
Mm-hmm.
you want to have the best relationship with yourself, this is where you start. This
And
is where you start. This
yeah.
is how you attract people very differently in your life. This is the start. And so if you haven't started, we're encouraging you to do that, but you got free will. You can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to do. The choice is yours.
And so I have a suggestion, a question to ask yourself in your journal prompt, right? If you don't have Kia's journal. Um, in your journal, what if you ask yourself, so if any of the things that Kia mentioned today about what unhealed looks like, right? What if you asked yourself the question, where would I be or who would I be without that, whatever that unhealed space is? So she said confusion. So who would I be without confusion?
Mm-hmm.
Who would I be without anger?
Mm-hmm.
Who would I be without the distractions? Like, ask yourself that question. And then, what brings me joy? What brings me joy? And what type of life? So if I had one wish, no, that's a song. Anyway, sorry. If you had one wish, right? If there was a wish, if you had gotten a wish, right? And you were gotten this wish, and they like you got one wish that could be that you can get this wish, right? So what if you had that one wish and the question was, who would I be if I chose happiness in my life? Life look like I chose happiness in my what would my life look like? If I chose to love me, what would my life look like? So what if that wish can be granted? You know, what would that look like?
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Because that was my last bullet point,
A la-
was the unhealed version being rude, um, mean,
okay.
nasty,
Mm,
jealous.
mm,
What would your life look like? Because the healing version of you would be loving and kind and considerate
mhm.
and a number of other things. And what would that look like for you?
And
I
setting boundaries, because sometimes we're rude
mhm,
because we don't set boundaries. So we get
mhm.
upset. We keep saying yes to people because we didn't set a boundary.
And that was one of my things too.
Me too.
I would get upset because I would assume that people knew that I had all of these things on my plate. Like, why are they asking me to do this? They already know that, and everybody know I want to be there for everybody, and that's on me. If
Hmm.
if I'm the person that want to keep showing up for people, especially for people that don't show up for me, that
Man,
made absolutely no
no,
sense.
that's right,
So I had absolutely no one to blame but
right. But me,
myself.
but me.
And so
I,
and so as we close up, I want to talk about how we were talking about this before the live started, and that's about when you get a cut. I have keloid skin.
mhm,
So if I get a cut, my skin typically keloids. If you don't know what that means, it's a overgrowth of skin where the cut takes place.
mhm,
Okay? And there's really no cure for it outside of them cutting it off, which is a direct result of another keloid growing, because a cut is a cut.
mhm,
Um, or they can do steroid injections, of which I've had to do several times because any little cut will cause a keloid to form for me.
mhm,
But what about the cut that is a dangerous cut and that you need to get stitches for?
mhm.
Or it's an injury that it goes beyond what you can do at home
Right.
and it needs to be treated. And what happens when you don't treat something that is beyond what you can do at home? One of the things I had to learn as a unhealed person completely was that there were things that were happening with me and that had happened to me that was beyond my control in terms of what I could do at home.
Right.
And so I decided that it would be best for me to go and get the help that I needed
Mhm,
by hiring a therapist that would help me to work through those emotions that I didn't feel like I was equipped to handle at home. Some of us have cuts that need stitches,
mhm,
and we think we can keep pouring peroxide and alcohol on it at home.
mhm,
And every time something touches it, we do that, right?
mhm,
And so what happens is you start to transfer your pain to other people. You come into contact with people and you transfer that pain, the blood that's dripping, the pain that's there, you try to inflict on other people.
mhm.
And you think that this is the route to go because you've done it for so long.
Right.
But when in reality is, the longer that cut goes untreated, the more problems come into play,
Mhm,
because that bacteria can cause you to have to go to the hospital. It'll cause them to have to give you extra antibiotics and other medications. It
right.
can also lead to your death.
Right.
This is a risk of also being an unhealed person,
Mhm,
because there are people that have walked around being so unhealed for so long that they shoot people out of their anger. They stab people out of their anger. They
Mm.
lie on people. They're jealous of people. They're envious of people. They create chaos and drama everywhere they go. They are a whirlwind, turned tornado of trouble.
Right.
That is what can happen when you're unhealed and you begin to blame everybody around you. The finger is pointing here and there. Instead of you going to get treatment for yourself, instead of you worrying about but look, they got pus coming out of their cut. Worry about yourself. Worry
Yeah.
about the pus that's coming out of your cut.
Yeah.
Worry about what's coming out of your mouth and how you hurt people, how
Right.
you hurt yourself, how
Right.
you're inflicting pain in
Yeah.
this world when
Yeah.
we're supposed to be out here loving one another. How you making judgments about people that you don't know anything about. How you feel like you got it all together and you know everything. You're wounded and you're unhealed and you're not going to get the happiness and the peace and the love and the joy that you deserve as long as you sit in that discomfort.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my word.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Hmm. And if you're on this, like, if you're on this call, then you know what we're about, right? You know we're about working through and working towards. And so if you look in your life and see how you've hurt people, you know, then like you said, deal with that cut, you know? Somebody said teach it.
Hmm.
That's right. You know? Hmm. You know,
Yeah.
and then and then it's like, and then you realize you sitting there by yourself alone because you didn't put that wall up so tough and so thick. You know, you didn't put that
Yep.
away, and now you there by yourself. Hmm.
We have these conversations because it's pure love.
Yeah.
And I remember being in a space where I was so unhealed that I
Mm.
was losing people left and right around me
Yeah.
because people didn't want to engage and interact with me. And I
Right.
didn't blame them.
Right.
Once I recognized some of that behavior, I couldn't blame people.
Right.
And I knew that I needed to be able to stand myself first.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even stand myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I acted so ugly.
Right.
And so ultimately, our desire is for people to understand their own individual worth and value of themselves to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Stop worrying about the people out there because nobody is more important than you. You are the most important person in your life. And we grew up being taught all of these other things that go against that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to unlearn that to be able
Yeah.
to learn that you are it. The
Yeah.
thing that you say often is, you are the prize. You are the prize.
Mm-hmm.
How can you, how do you know if you're the prize if you've been taught, well, you need to put this person first, and you need to put your mama go first, your siblings go first, your grandparents go first? Nobody ever talked to us about putting yourself first.
Right.
I think the first time I heard it was on a flight when they said, put the oxygen mask on your face first.
Yes.
That's the first time I heard somebody say, take care of you first.
Right. Yeah. Somebody, a Facebook user asked, how do you, there it is. Oh, how do you start the process of healing and what's the first step? Well, the first step is, what's the first step of like with AA and Alcoholics Anonymous, drug, substance abuse, right? Is to know that you have a problem.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledging it. You have to first
Hmm.
know that there's an issue. There's a problem because you walking around like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Then how you go heal anything because you good? So
Hmm.
first is acknowledging it, you know, identifying it, and like Kia said, going to a therapist, going to a professional to talk to them about it, you know. And again, I gotta let y'all know that it, like when you go to a therapist, it does not mean that going to a therapist. I tell my clients this: going to a therapist is like finding a good friendship slash relationship. Sometimes that first therapist might not be on the same page, right? You might be like, let me see about let me see if, like, let me take a couple of sessions and see if we're on the same page, and see if we're, if we're working towards healing, because some therapists, there's different theories, there's different types and styles of therapy, so you got to
Mm-hmm.
find one that works for you. So if you go to one and you're like, what's that, right, then go to another one and see. Go to another one and see. Maybe that wasn't the one for you. I let my clients know I'm not really a structured therapist, right? So I don't really follow a structured set of theories, or train with theories. And so I let them know I use different types, but I also am in the space present, and I'll use in the space too. So I just wanted to share that too.
And I'm glad that you shared that. That's important because there are people, past clients that I've spoken with that would say things like, well, I tried to get a therapist, but I ain't like the therapist. And I said, okay, let me explain something to you. And I'm going to just keep it 100 because that's how I talk. When you get into a bad relationship, you give that person a chance over
Give them
and
a whole bunch,
over and over again.
and they didn't
But
hurt
you mean to tell me you can't figure out how to get somebody that's going to help you pull this together? Pull this together? You
you. Yeah.
mean to tell me you can't take a little time and effort to put towards that? Because I take me more serious than a whole nother person. And I can assure you of that.
Yes.
I take me way more serious than I do somebody else. Now, because I understand if I'm going to put all that effort and energy into somebody else, I can most certainly do it for myself. And I think that's interesting that people will say, I don't have time to keep trying to find the right therapist. Oh, so you got time to just keep
Mhm.
feeling like you feeling and
Right.
doing like you doing?
Right.
I mean, the choice is yours. Like
Right.
we always say, the choice is yours. We are not here to force anybody to do anything. We are
Right.
here to share the information. We're here to share our experiences. And then you can do with it what you like. Eat the fish, throw the bones away.
That's it.
Always. But the choice is yours. And if you know that there are things that you are wounded and are dealing with that are traumatic to you that you're still holding, then you need to take the time and put the energy towards trying to say, you know what? Let me just sit here with myself.
I want to do
What
better.
keeps coming up for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
What keeps coming up? Because if the same thing keeps coming up, I can assure you it's you and it ain't them.
Yeah.
I can assure you of that. I had to do that with myself. That was very painful because I had really
Yeah.
chosen to be the victim
Mhm.
and I was committed. Like, I was straight committed. Like, I know I'm the person that's been wronged. It's all of these people, all of them are just crazy and I am just perfect. Okay. Let it work for as long as you feel like it's going to work for you.
Right.
The truth of the matter is, we all have some brokenness and we
Yes.
all can heal from some
Yep.
things. And the choice again is yours to put towards that, put the energy towards doing that work. And if
Right.
you decide, hey, I don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Because the
Right.
first step again is saying, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that
Hmm.
acknowledge that there's some brokenness here,
Right.
right? And in my X amount of years, I've experienced some things that may have caused me to have some wounds and some trauma and some things that I need to work through. And that's okay. That's okay. We all got it.
And a lot of times, sometimes, a lot of times, it could be our parents that cause the trauma that we don't really want to deal with.
Yep.
So,
A lot of times.
yeah.
A lot. A lot of times. I'm
Hmm.
glad you said that because we really do. I think we in a space of protection,
Hmm.
we want to protect those that we love and care about.
Right. And it doesn't mean you
However,
protect them. It just means that there were some unhealthy things that occurred. And it doesn't mean that, like, and it doesn't mean, I'm sorry I cut you off.
no, go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
No, you fine.
And it doesn't mean that you should bash them, right? It doesn't mean that
Yep.
you should harbor ill will towards them. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that there was a time and space that the way they handled or the way they parented was not healthy, and that affected you and your present life today. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's hard to identify or like you said, get out of that protection mode. Well, I don't want to talk bad about even, and sometimes parents pass away and they don't want to say nothing bad about their parents.
Yeah.
But what if it's not about saying anything bad? What if it's that in that I just so I think I told you not I think, but I told you guys before that a friend of mine had let me go because I felt like I wasn't a good friend. I felt like I was I didn't trust myself, and I went to her for advice to tell me what to do, right? And I felt like that was overwhelming for her. And so that's been 5 or 6 years. And she reached out to me last week. And so she told me, she said she was meditating and she realized, she said she asked spirit, like, who was it in her space in her life that that like allowed her to be herself, right? That allowed her to choose because she has a different type of religious belief, and so she was like, "Who gave me the space to be me?" And she was like, and she said, "You were one of them." And I said, so I got to say, I apologize that I wasn't the best friend I could be. I am so sorry that I could have been a better friend to you. And her response was, "You were a good friend in the space you were in at that moment."
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and guys, and I felt like because I just joined the African spirituality group, and so I felt like that was one thing that I felt like, dang, something that was, like,
Yeah.
and so for her to let me know, like, so I'm saying that for you, for your parents, in that space of who they were then, and even if they
Mm-hmm.
are now, but in that space, because that's their unhealed version. That was their
Yeah.
version. Just like some parents, you have three siblings, and the baby sibling or the oldest sibling is not the same. They don't get the same parent that the youngest sibling get, right? Sibling,
Yeah.
because this is who they could be in that parenting moment with the oldest child. And so they didn't know what they were doing. I, I,
Mm-hmm.
I can attest to that, right? And so it's the space. So allowing yourself to forgive yourself, right? And forgive them because in the space they were in, that's all they could do in that space. Because they weren't given the opportunity that we given y'all to see that there's some other options, that there's something
Mm-hmm.
different that could be done. And so,
That's
yes.
good. And I think, and I mean, you even helped me with a part of this before because I remember having some struggles with having conversations with my mom about some stuff. And one of the things that we do is we assume what their response is going to be, right? And sometimes we assume that based on previous responses to things. So, I mean, it's not like we are wrong for assuming those things, but I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the things that I was really really trying to do was heal my childhood wounds and get to a place where that little girl that's still here.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I wanted to get to was making sure that that little girl felt heard and that little girl could get to a place of having that conversation with my mother and saying, that hurt me and this bothered me. And, can we talk about that? I didn't really like when you did this. I don't like when you said that. And for a while, I would get the same type of response, but then it changed
Mm-hmm.
and I got a different response. And I was able to, but I didn't quit and I didn't give up and I didn't become a victim to those things. But I also didn't become a punching bag either. Like
Right.
I wasn't gonna allow her to like do anything to mistreat me, but she wasn't like that anyway. It
Mm-hmm.
was just about being able to tell her something that I knew would hurt her or I knew it would bother her to hear those things, but ultimately I needed to heal that inner child in
Right.
me.
Right.
That was because that's part of my healing.
Yes.
That's part of our healing
Yes.
collectively is healing our inner child so that we're not walking around with some of those childhood wounds and things that we don't even sometimes we're not even thinking about it. We don't even realize it's there.
Right.
But there are things that happened in our childhood that at 60 years old, people are still dealing with.
Yes.
There's secrets in families
Yes.
that people have maintained secrets for.
Yep.
And it has bothered you on some level and some degree of life. I
Mhm.
was watching real quick, I was watching this show called Paternity Court earlier today. And this woman and this was a very unique story.
Mhm.
This woman knew two men to be her father.
Mhm.
Neither of the men knew each other. She's 30 years old.
Oh wow.
Neither of the men knew each other, and she had separate relationships with both. They
Hmm.
never bumped into each other because one was a very present, active father. He
Mm.
would go to the school, he would participate in stuff. The other one was not so active. But she knew both. She called both of them her dad. She knew both of them. She knew their families. She was closer to one than the other though. And so her mom told her, this one's not your dad, that one's your dad. So she knew, but she was holding her mom's secret. So what
Wow.
does that do to a child at 30 years
Wow.
old? She still was thinking, this is my, both of them are my dad. And
Wow.
I can't tell my mom's secret,
Yeah.
but
Protect.
she got to a point where she wanted to know who was her biological dad. When she came to court, she just knew that the one that had been so active in her life was her dad because that's the one that had been most present.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it came out that the other man was her dad,
Aw.
and so he was devastated because he kept saying, I don't care what the results come back. That's my baby. That's my
Yeah.
daughter. And but that's how deep this stuff goes. And
Right.
I only shared that to
Right.
say that's how deep that those inner child wounds can go. This girl carried that for 30
Right.
years.
Oh.
She
So she,
carried her mama's secret.
so she
That
had to.
wasn't even her secret.
Right.
Keeping these two men away from each other.
Wow.
What happened to you, cousin?
I know. Dang it. Because my son called me.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. So I want to just close by saying we really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I know that every other Tuesday is a little different than every other Wednesday because we kind of go deep on some things, and it's not intended to trigger people or,
Right.
make people feel bad about anything, but these are conversations that are important so that we can heal collectively as a community, so that we can have healthier relationships with ourselves and with other people. And so we just appreciate you guys continuing to support and tune in. We ask that you continue to share. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go out and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Date Affirm the Real. And then share the podcast, which is on all the platforms. Share the podcast out with your family and friends. And I don't know if Shamika's gonna come back into view.
Oh, you can't see me?
No,
You
we
can't.
can't see you.
Oh, that's.
Go out and come back in. Yeah,
Okay.
so she's gonna go out and come back in, and then nope, it's still black. Because I want us to be able to end the same way we always do. Ooh. Hopefully she can get back in. So I see a comment. This was deep and profound and appreciated. Thank you so much. Bless. Who is that? Who is Empress Erica? She must be on Instagram or YouTube. Thank you for the feedback and thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Um, doesn't look like Shamika is getting back in
Can you hear me? Can y'all
visually. We
hear
can
me?
hear you. We can hear
Oh.
you. So we're going to have you close us out as always. We just can't see you.
Oh. Okay. Because I
I
can see you.
know.
I can see myself and you. Okay. Let's breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. two, three, four. We thank you guys for coming on. We thank you guys for sharing this space with us and being vulnerable with us and allowing us to be vulnerable and in a space of vulnerability. We and so repeat after me. All of life
All of life
comes to me
comes to me
with ease
with ease
and joy and
and
glory.
joy and glory.
How does it
How
get
does it get
any better?
any better than this?
And what else is possible? Thank you, you guys. I'm sorry you guys can't see me. I'm in the dark, but I see you. Weird anyway. Okay.
We love each of you, those that are here live with us and those that'll come back and watch the replay. And please feel free to send us anything, any topics that you guys would like for us to discuss. For those that are new to the podcast, again, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you'll continue to come back. And again, if you have comments, if you have questions, if you have topic ideas, if you want to be a guest, even, please let us know and we'll make sure that all of those things happen. Until next time, you guys, peace.
Bye, guys. Mwah.
Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees inside of me.